Hi everybody, this is Sandy. I am your instructor and I just want to say welcome to class. I have enjoyed the videos that I have listened to so far. I'm only about, a quarter of the way through them, but I am making my way through. I actually enjoy very much listening to everybody's stories and finding your points of connection with this subject matter. And it's kind of fun to look into your houses a little bit, or wherever it is you choose to do your videos. You are actually in my bedroom right now. I don't have a camera on my computer at the office. I don't know why that is, but if there is one, I can't make it work. And what you're seeing in the background, that art back there, is stuff that my daughters did a long time ago, and some dirty laundry up on top of my dresser, I think. Anyway, so where should I start? A little bit about me. I was a practicing lawyer, a legislative attorney. I did lobbying, and I worked in the agencies on compliance negotiations and rulemakings and stuff like that for my clients. My biggest clients were municipalities. I represented the city of Tucson for a long time, and nonprofits. I represented the Nature Conservancy and a number of other clients that you may or may not have heard of. But in about 2004, I felt like the writing was on the wall about the ways in which our political climate was changing, and it was very, very polarized. I wasn't having any trouble getting my job done, but what I noticed was that there was so much butting of heads in terms of the leadership that if you got something done one year, it would get taken apart the next. And personally, I'm all about trying to make the world a better place. I don't even like the parties anymore. I still vote. I campaign for my favorite candidates, but I have come to feel personally not that great about the parties, and so and that's all about the polarization and the difficulty that they seem to have working together. And so I decided I might be able to make more of an impact outside of that system. Not that it's not an important system, it still is, but I felt stymied there. And I decided that I wanted to come to the university and to research issues that were tough and look at them from a different angle and see whether I could be useful in finding solutions. And I love teaching. I've always taught on the side even when I was a lawyer. So I got my PhD and I came into the university system through University of Missouri in about 2006, started teaching, and while I was still a PhD student, my areas of law were in large part natural resources and water, and other things as well, particularly municipal and urban development things. But because of my background in environmental law, I have been teaching an environmental policy class and a sustainability management class for the University of Missouri for several years. And my other area of interest is ethics. And also that comes from my dissatisfaction with a lot of the way things happen in the world, and I started getting interested in the ethical aspects of things. And I have been also at University of Missouri and at ASU teaching ethics for a number of years. So that's kind of my background. As I said, I represented municipalities, so community development is something I'm very interested in, and inclusive community development is very near and dear to my heart because of things that I won't tell you now, but we will learn as the class goes forward. Okay, so let me just make a few clarifications, I guess. I've already had some people ask me some questions. The first thing I guess I should say is that if you think about all the little teeny pieces that go into building an online class, each of the instructors have to do that ourselves. There are IT people to help us if we screw something up or if we don't understand how to do something, but we actually build it ourselves. So I one at a time, upload every reading that you'll find there and every image that you'll find there. And I write every word that you see. And I make sure all the links that I give you work and all of that stuff, right? And depending on whether I'm starting from scratch, or in this case, I had a class already built, but sometimes if in Blackboard, and then I had to transfer it over, that took me approximately 40 hours. I'm guessing it would be like a whole 40-hour work week if I just did nothing else. But if you build one from scratch, it's more like 80 hours. So here's, not complaining, just saying, I do it all by myself, and I'm human. I am prone to human error, and you are likely to find some errors. You may find a link that's broken. That may or may not have actually be the case. Sometimes the system's screwy, but you may find that I've got, I don't know, something that conflicts with, you know, it may say one thing on the Blackboard and a different thing on the syllabus. Somebody already pointed out to me that one of the morning due date times is 9 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock in the morning, and asked me if that was accurate. And no, it's not. It was probably just a slip of the old finger while I was typing. Could have happened at 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you see something like that, please say it. If there's a broken reading link, you're still responsible for the reading, so you need to let me know as soon as possible so I can find you a different link, or get you a hard copy of the reading. That just happens when we're online, links break, stuff like that. So you are my village, you are my proofreaders. Let me know if something isn't looking right, or broken, or you need some help. Okay, now speaking of those 6 a.m. due dates, what is that all about? Why does the syllabus say one date and then the Canvas says the next day at 6 in the morning? So let me just explain that the actual due date is the day before, but rather than make it due at 11:59 at night so that I could grade at midnight, I'm just here to tell you right now the chances of me grading at midnight are almost none. I may be up that late, but I'm not going to do anything that involves giving you a grade at that hour, because I am not at my best, and you deserve me at my best when I am reading your work. So I tend to actually do my grading first thing in the morning. Since I know that I'm not going to grade until the morning, let's just call that 6 a.m. margin until you actually have to have it in as a courtesy period, where if you're not done by midnight, you can have all the way until 6 a.m. For some of you who live on the East Coast and you're in the East Coast time zone, that means you might have some time to work on it in the morning. For most of you that are on the West Coast or in Arizona, having a 6 a.m. deadline doesn't mean a lot to you, but it does mean that if you want to work late on an assignment until midnight or 2 a.m., that you're free to do that. So please do not ask me if you can have that a.m. deadline extended until 10 a.m. or until 2 o'clock, or can you get it in by 6, because no, that's not the due date. The due date was the day before. That's just a courtesy extension until I'm going to show up with my coffee or my tea and my dogs and my grading pen. So that's what that time is all about. It's just a courtesy extension because I know I'm not going to grade until then. Now, why is it important that we get things in on a particular time? Well, there are a lot of reasons, and the most important reason is that part of our learning is to hear each other's opinions. We already know what we think, but you know, just from listening to your friends and your family and the people at your work and the people around you, that there are a lot of different opinions about things. If you only are exposed to what you think, then you miss all of the other possible ways of looking at something. If you post something, let's just say everybody else got their posting done by 6 a.m. in the morning, those people are not going back there. They've done all their work. They're done with that. They are on to the next unit, right? If you don't post your thing until 10 o'clock or 10 a.m. or 2 o'clock the next day, nobody's going to read it. Nobody is going to have the value of your thoughts, and that is a waste of your talent and your experience and your view of the world, because your view of the world is part of what's informing our learning. So I need you to get it done in the same time frame as everybody else, so that everybody can see what you said and have the value of your wisdom. And the other reason is that, believe it or not, grading requires all kinds of machinations in the Canvas toolbox for me. And it's time consuming. And I cannot run back and forth every time somebody turns something in. I cannot. I have to do all the grading at once for a particular assignment. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 assignments at once. When I'm in there, it's just very much more efficient to do a lot of grading at once. And remember, you're not my only class. I have 4 classes, and if I had a liberal late turn-in policy, then everybody would be abusing it whenever, and I would be doing nothing but getting in and out of gradebook, and I would not have time to do anything else. So I am pretty rigid about getting these things in on time. Now, having said that, this is the first week of class. I'm not going to penalize anybody that was all mixed up about that, but hopefully it's clarified now. And if it isn't, then send me an email and ask me again, or let's get an office hours. We can do that either by Zoom or Skype or something, and find a mutually agreeable time to do that. Okay, what else did I want to tell you? Oh, I want to tell you a couple things about just the logistics of an online class. First of all, this is a half session class. It moves very fast. I sometimes think people who take these classes must be crazy, because normally we expect you to spend 2 to 3 hours a week on any given class, plus your in-class time. That's the calculation. For every hour in class, you're supposed to spend about an hour outside of class. But when you take a B session or A session class, that's literally half the length of a class. We expect you to double that. So you should be expecting to spend between 4 and 6 hours a week just on this class. And that may be crazy hard for a lot of you if you have full-time jobs, if you have kids, if you have both, if you have other obligations that you have in other classes. To spend that much time on one class is going to seem a little crazy. So just know that you're going to have to move really fast. I make recommendations to people that you let your boss and your spouse, if you have one, your significant other, your roommates, your friends, know that you are going to be particularly busy with school work for just this next few little weeks. And please, to let you say no when you need to say no, and to cut you some slack. All right, so that's that. Just don't get behind, because we move so fast that if you get behind, you may not catch up. If you have an emergency, that's a different subject. And if you really have an emergency, and by that I mean somebody in your family is sick, or God forbid passed away, or you get the like the fever and pneumonia and all that kind of stuff, and you just simply can't work, let me know that, and we will do our best to accommodate it. If that actually takes up too much of the semester, that may end up being an incomplete. So we just have to play that kind of thing by ear. What else do I want to tell you? I had a little list. I should have written it down, and I didn't. There was one more thing. I can't remember what it was, but I will tell you that I guess I will recommend to you, there is a discussion board, if you hit the discussion board thing, called Hallway Conversations, and that is a place to leave a question if it is a question that other people might be interested in the answer as well as you. Personal questions should probably come to me by email, but anything that's a generic question really would do better to be in the Hallway Conversations area. I will get a message, I'll get alerted that there's a message there, and I will come as quickly as I can to answer it. But one of the beauties of putting things in the Hallway Conversation is there may be actually a classmate who gets there before I do and has your answer. The other reason for using Hallway Conversations instead of giving me direct emails is that if we were in a classroom together and somebody had a question, everybody else who also was wondering about that would hear the answer at once. when we are in an online classroom. If you send me an email, you are the only person who gets the answer, and sometimes that means I get the same question 8 times. I don't prefer that. I prefer that we put it in hallway conversations so everybody can see the answer. And to that regard, you can subscribe to these different discussion boards so that you know when somebody's been back and there's something to go look at. And if you do that, you won't ever have to just, check out to see if anything's happened. You'll know because the Canvas system will alert you that there is something there for you to read. I think that's probably enough for now. I'm excited about this class. I again warn you, it moves really fast, so make an effort to stay up with it. There is actually a video in the welcome section. It's not the very first page, but if you keep clicking the next button at the lower right hand side, you will end up with these 2 videos. One of them will give you a lot of hints for surviving and thriving in an online class. And the other one is basically explaining to you how to make sure that you work on the discussion board in a way that will satisfy my requirements, that you are actually working in a way that's valuable to yourself and to your fellow classmates, and not just make work. Oh, I have to show up and write something. I don't want that. I want the discussion to be something that amplifies the learning. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time to write it and your classmates' time and mine to read it. So I've left you a couple of videos there that should help you get through the semester. Again, if you have any questions, I'm here for you, and I look forward to moving through this subject matter with you this semester.